Hello, Tashi Dilek. Welcome to yet another video lesson. Alright, so in this video lesson, I'm going to teach you or deal with the third poem of your flamenco textbook, that is Keeping Quiet, written by Pablo Neruda. Alright, so what images do you see here? What's the common thing between them? Both seem to be, both seem to be in a deep thought, right? And they both have their eyes closed, right? So, keeping quiet, if you are asked to keep quiet or, introspect yourself, you need not be in a particular position like this, pertaining to a particular posture, all right? It can be done in this way as well, sitting relaxed and thinking about your uh, past actions, or your observing or analyzing, self-analyzing your own actions and deeds, right? Okay, so Keeping Quiet by Pablo Neruda, right? So let's go through about the poet. So he is usually referred or popularly known by the pen name Pablo Neruda, and later on his pen name is legalized and he is now Pablo Neruda. Earlier, before he changed his name to Pablo Neruda, his name was Ricardo Eliezer Neftali Reyes Basolto, and born on 12 July 1904 and passed away on 23rd September 1973, right? And he was a poet who was born in Chile, right? And he was a diplomat and politician. Diplomat means, an official representative, right? Representing his or her own nation abroad, right? And because of his writings, he won the Nobel Prize in Literature in the year 1971, right? And this is one particular extra information or something special about him is he always wrote in green ink, which he feels that, or which is a personal symbol for desire and hope. All right. Okay, now this is Pablo Neruda. Now, in this poem, there is a theme and sub-themes, right? So it is basically an anti-war poem. Anti-war means a poem written against war, opposing war, right? So the first theme is the urgent need for mankind to introspect, buy time to start afresh. So this means that, introspections means, self-analyzing, all right, or examining or observing your own mental or your uh, emotional process, right? Okay, so and introspection. So how do we need to do that? By keeping quiet, by thinking about your actions, right? So for that you need to have some time. Buy time means, like pay money and buying time in return. No, take some time off, right? So as to introspect yourself, so as to self-analyze yourself, so that you can start afresh, start fresh. All right, all right. Suppose you introspect and you realize all your wrongdoings, and you realize that you have done uh, those things wrong, or you have done wrong, right? So you do not wish to, continue continue with your wrongdoings, so there will be a new beginning. All right. Second one is to put an end to all destructive activities, be at ease in universal brotherhood. So it is not only about yourself introspecting, it's also about, when everybody in the world takes some time off to introspect their own actions, then that will help them in and putting an end to all the destructive activities that they have been doing so far. They would be at peace, and there would be a sense of universal brotherhood developed or felt, right? And the third one is the need to live in peaceful coexistence with nature, to stop harming animals and avoid annihilation of human race. Now this also, introspection also helps us in, like, living peacefully, not only with the human race but also with the nature and with animals. All right, so these, you may say that these are the benefits or advantages or merits of introspecting our own actions, our own thoughts. All right, so this can be also uh, can be called as a theme of the poem. Okay, now first stanza. All right, now there are several stanzas given in the poem. I have captioned or I have titled each stanza, and put them in brackets so that you will have a better understanding of the stanza being explained. All right. Okay. Now we will count to 12 and we will all keep still, right? So now the poet is going to count, or we all are going to count till 12. And during that count, we all are required to keep quiet, keep still, right? So why do you think the number 12 is being used? Why not 10? Why not 5? Why not 20? Why 12? All right. So 12, the number 12 has a great significance. All right. It is, there are 12 zodiac signs, 12 months, right? And 12 hours on the clock. So all the minute hand, second hand, and hour hand, they appear to be one when they are all at 12. All right, and it is also believed that there are 12 gates to the heaven, right? So 12, that's why the poet has used the number 12, because 12 months, right? So the we all are going to count till 12, and during that time we are supposed to keep quiet, keep still, right, without any movement. Okay, second stanza, I have captioned it as language of silence. All right. So the content in your textbook is, for once on the face of the earth, let's not speak in any language. Let's stop for 1 second and not move our arms so much. All right. Let's go through the first two sentences. For once on the face of the earth. Right. Now, here the poet means that everybody living on the earth. All right. He is pleading, right, or he is requesting that everybody living on the earth, let us not speak any language. Now there are so many languages in the world, thousands of languages being spoken in all over the world, right, here. So he wants everybody to keep quiet. That means follow a language of silence. That means without speaking any language. All right. Let's stop for 1 second and not move our arms so much. Right. So for 1 second, let us stop everything what we have been doing. And stop everything means whatever the work that you are doing, be it writing, be it, like cleaning, or be it eating. Let us not move our arms so much. Instead of moving our arms, let us keep quiet. Let us stop all our activities, right? Okay, for what? Obviously, to introspect, right? Okay, the third stanza, the caption that I've given here is exciting and unusual moment. Now, what the title suggests to you, title or the heading of the third stanza? In the previous stanzas, the poet has asked everybody to keep quiet, to stop all the activities and uh, observe a moment of silence, during which we are simply not to sit like this, but we have to, self examine our own actions. We have to introspect our own actions. All right. Now, this is very much related. This stanza is very much related to the previous two stanzas. It would be an exotic moment. What is it being referred here? The moment of silence, the moment when we are all keeping quiet. All right. So when we introspect, that moment would be an exotic moment. Or exotic means something wonderful, something amazing, without rush, without engines. So why would that moment be exotic? Because everybody would stop all their activities. There wouldn't be any rush. There would not be any hectic. There wouldn't be any sound of engines, machines. Everybody would be so quiet during that moment, and that moment is going to be an exotic moment. All right. We would all be together in a certain strangeness. So during that period, everybody would feel totally different. There would be a complete, all of a sudden strangeness feeling felt by people all over the world when they are keeping quiet. All right. And there, a sense of belongingness will be felt by everyone. Now, why do you think certain strangeness is being referred? Because we have never ever done such thing before. All right. Okay, so next fourth stanza. Harmless world. All right. Fishermen in the cold sea would not harm whales, and the man gathering salt would look at his hurt hands. Right. Now here the poet gives us two examples. All right. One is of the fisherman, and the second one is a man collecting salt or working in a salt factory. All right. First one, fishermen in the cold sea would not harm whales. If everybody, including even the fishermen, observe a moment of silence to introspect their own actions, they would not harm whales. They would stop harming the whales. All right. And the man gathering salt would look at his hurt hands. Even the man working in the salt factory would get the time to reflect upon his own action, and would get a time to look at his hand, right, and realize that he had been working so much, he had been so negligent about his own health. Right. So these realization can be derived, or can come, or can be felt only after self-analyzing ourselves, only after introspecting ourselves. All right. Now here, let me explain some more here. Okay, fisherman. Now, fisherman here is a symbolic of powerful people. All right, oppressor. So powerful people oppresses the weaker ones, right? So whales here is the symbolic of oppressed. All right. And this also reflects the harm being done to ecology, harm being done to nature. Right. And man gathering salt would look at his hurt hands. So only after introspection, the fisherman, the salt collector would get some time to think upon their own actions, and they would realize that he had, or he would be satisfied with the day's catch or day's work, right? And he would stop harming nature. All right. Okay, fifth stanza. To the warmongers. Warmongers means one who wages war, who creates war, who creates conflicts. All right. Those who prepare green wars, wars with gas, wars with fire, victory with no survivors, would put on clean clothes and walk about with their brothers in the shade doing nothing. Now, those here refers to scientists, to the politicians, to the bureaucrats, to those powerful, leaders who are preparing green wars or different types of wars. Now, the types of wars being referred here are green wars. Green wars means wars against environments in the form of deforestation, in the form of mining, quarrying, so on, right? So green here particularly means war against environment, especially in the form of deforestation. Now, why do people prepare or why do people cut down trees? For industrialization, for modernization, right? Okay, wars with gas, wars with fire. Now these wars are related to destructive weapons being made or being developed by the scientist. All right, nuclear weapons, right? Victory with no survivors. Now here hyperbole is being used, right? Hyperbole in the sense, use of exaggeration when there is, like a whole lot of, additional incorrect info, what do you say, like additional informations which are not literally correct. That is called hyperbole, exaggeration. All right, so it's quite impossible that what you say, like if two countries are at war, both the parties are going to lose the battles. They are going to get killed by each other, right? So victory with no survivors. So possibility, it is kind of impossible because there wouldn't be any survivor to celebrate the victory with. No matter, even if you win the battle or the war, there wouldn't be any survivor to celebrate the victory. All right, now would put on clean clothes. Now who would put on clean clothes? The scientists, the powerful politicians, the powerful people, bureaucrats, those who are preparing such war, right, would put on clean clothes and walk about with their brothers in the shade. Now, brothers means not their own biological brothers, the enemies, all right, in the shade doing nothing. So, it's not only about fishermen or the salt collector, it also includes the scientists, the politicians, all those people engaging or creating war, engaging in wars. If they introspect, if they take some time off their busy schedule and take some time in reflecting upon their actions, they would there would be a change in their perception. All right, so instead of preparing green wars, they would rather put on clean clothes. All right, clean clothes now here refers to the clothes without any dirt, without any bloodshed, without any blood. So usually what happens in a war is, when there is bombardment, when there's firing, right, going on, the army tends to get hurt, and you could see blood all over his body, right? So if these scientists or if these politicians or if these bureaucrats take some time to introspect, they would uh, give up give up the war itself, right? Instead of planning or preparing for wars, they would put on clean clothes, and then they would consider their enemy as their brother, and they would walk along with their brothers in the shade doing nothing. So that means, like a sense of harmony, a sense of peace is being felt by everybody, all right, sitting in the shade enjoying. All right, now here the poetic device used here is in the shade means it's a symbolic, because like a shade protects, or like protects us, or shelters us from harsh sun, right? Similarly, the enemies, the people sitting in the shade would protect each other, would start loving each other, all right? So doing nothing. Next, what do you see here in these images? Destruction of the nature, destruction of the property, people being killed, right? Sufferings. Okay, sixth stanza. Now I have captioned it as no misunderstanding. What I want should not be confused with total inactivity. Life is what it is about. I want no truck with death, right? Now the poet is clarifying his point of view. What he means by saying or suggesting us to keep quiet is it is not at all related with total inactivity. Total inactivity means it is more of like doing nothing at all or complete dead. All right. So when the poet is asking us to keep quiet, we should not confuse the moment of keeping quiet with doing nothing. Okay, our arms and legs wouldn't move, but there should be a thinking process going on in your mind, introspecting your actions. That's what he clarifies his point. All right, life is what it is about. Now whatever he has said about keeping quiet, or in the previous stanza, is everything about life. It is very much related to life. All right, so life is an ongoing process. There should not be there should be a complete uh, inactivity or complete full stop. All right, it is ongoing process. All right, I want no truck with death. No truck means he is not associating his concept of keeping quiet with death, complete death. All right. Okay, now since this comes under the previous stanza 6, but I have furthermore divided that paragraph into two. All right. Okay, stanza 7, a pause in busy schedule. If we were not so single-minded about keeping our lives moving, and for once could, perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness of now understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. All right, now the poet is asking, if we were not so single-minded, single-minded means, if we are not so self-focused about our own lives, about getting the things done. All right, so because of that, we forget the purpose of our life, isn't it? We get too busy. For example, see this image. The man handles so many works. He has so many processes to be done or work to be done, right? So if we, the human beings, are not so self-focused upon our own actions, about our own lives, right, which results in our life moving ahead without realizing the purpose of our life, right? And for once could, perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. Now what happens if we are so focused with our own work, with our own job, that we do not realize the real purpose of our life? It's not only about working hard, it is also about enjoying our life, isn't it? Right? So if a person does not get some time to introspect his own actions, then he will go on living his life like that, and one day he would realize, and he would be sad for having not understood his own not having understood the purpose of his own life. All right, and every day we are always fearful of death or dying, isn't it? So this can be prevented. This sadness of never understanding the purpose of our life can be prevented only if we keep quiet for a while. All right, and for once could perhaps a huge silence. Huge silence here refers to a moment of silence, in which we are going to introspect. All right. So if I sum up this stanza, if we are not so self-focused, if we are not so selfish about getting our purpose, getting our works done, all right, throughout our life, we might come upon a day when we would be filled with regret, we would be filled with sadness for having failed to understand the purpose of our life. All right. And this can be, now that day or that sadness, the moment of sadness can be prevented or can be stopped only if observe a moment of silence. All right. Okay. Stanza 8, Mother Earth, the greatest teacher, right? Perhaps the earth can teach us as when everything seems dead and later proves to be alive. So we can learn a lot from Mother Earth, right? Mother Earth can be the greatest teacher for us. For example, what do you see here in these two images? This is the picture in winter. This is the picture in spring season. Similarly, winter picture, spring season. So, you know, it is the very same tree. All right. These two are the same images of the same tree, and this is the image of the same tree but in different seasons. All right. Now here, what do you see in the winter season? What has happened to this tree? It appears to be dead, isn't it? But does that mean that the tree has died? No, it hasn't, because when after winter, when spring arrives, new leaves sprouts out. There is a new beginning to this tree, right? Similarly here, it appears to be dead. There is not a single leaf found on the tree, but in the spring season, it is full of leaves. All right. So similarly, if we introspect, if we keep a moment of silence and introspect our own actions, right, there would be a new beginning in ourselves, in our body, in our mind. All right. Like the trees, though the trees appear to be dead, but are the trees dead? No, it isn't. There is a whole lot of activities going on within the tree, like getting ready for the season, for the next season, right? Similarly, when we observe a moment of silence, there should be a lot of thinking process, mental process going on about the wrongdoings, how to correct them, right? Then only after introspection there will be a new beginning or a beginning to your life, right? So perhaps the earth can teach us as when everything seems dead, though when we are keeping quiet, we appear to be dead from outside, but there should be thinking process going on, similarly like that of the trees, and later proves to be alive, because the tree is not dead, the tree is very much alive, right? Similarly, there should be a new change, a new positive change in you. So in that sense, Mother Earth can be the greatest teacher. All right. Stanza 9, counting up to 12. Now the poem starts with counting up to 12 and requesting everybody to keep quiet, and the poem also ends with the poet counting up to 12 and asking everybody to keep quiet while he leaves the scene. All right, so allowing us to introspect, right? Now in this poem there are several devices, literary devices or poetic devices used, or figures of speech used. All right. The first one is alliteration. Alliteration means repetition of initial sound. All right. Initials means the beginning sound. We will, verb sound. We would, sudden strangeness, hurt his hands, clean clothes. Now these are the examples of alliteration. Second one, anaphora. Anaphora means, if 2 or 3 sentences starts with the same word, that is called anaphora. All right. So here in the poem, the word let's is used twice, one after another. All right. Let's not speak in any language. Let's stop for 1 second. So these are consecutively used. All right, in a stanza. And the third one, transferred epithet. Transferred epithet means, a word is used that describes or that represents something else. All right. For example, cold sea. Now here cold sea literally meaning the sea that is cold, right? Right. Okay, now here the poet has used the cold sea to signify or to represent the cold attitude of fishermen when hunting the whales. All right, they are not at all sorry for having hunted or for having killed the fish or whales. All right, next, synecdoche. All right, synecdoche means a part made to represent whole or the vice versa, or a whole to represent a part. For example, face of the earth. Now, the literal meaning is the face of the earth, but in the other way, it means everybody living on the earth. All right. Next one, fifth, repetition. Repetition means repeating the same word again and again. All right. Was with gas, was with fire. So the word was is repeated. Next, hyperbole, use of exaggeration. Victory with no survivors. So, like I explained in one of the slides, right? Personification means giving or attributing human qualities to inanimate object, to non-living things. All right, face of the earth. All right, now here the poet has personified the earth, referring to all the people on the earth. The earth can teach us. All right, again the earth is being personified as a teacher. Antithesis means use of opposite words together for contrasting effect, or in other words it can also be like it's oxymoron, right? So two opposite words are used together for what? To show a contrasting effect. For example, we will count, there's a line, now we will count to 12 counting, and we will all keep still. Counting and still, they are two opposite or different words, dead and alive. All right, so that's all for now, and take care. See you soon in next video.